Hi, welcome back or welcome to my channel. I'm Julie, excited to share with you how my mini retirement from being a teacher went for the month of July. So within the next couple of years, I plan on retiring. And this is going to be part one where I talk about the financial aspects of how I did in July during a practice retirement, a mini retirement, trying to just live off my husband's paycheck. And then I'll have a part two with more of, what that looked like for my life, committing to a solid month of not working basically whatsoever, or paid work whatsoever. All right, so here we go. So if you watched my video at the beginning of the month, or you can go back and watch it, I explained my strategy for how I was going to do a mini retirement. And basically what that was is not paying myself in July. So I am a teacher. I own and operate a Montessori toddler community. And usually what I do, since I'm closed during the summer, is I save every month so I can pay myself during July and during August. And so that's kind of what a lot of public schools do, at least in my area, is they don't give the teachers their whole salary while they're working. They force a payment in July and August and spread it out for them, and that some people think that's good, some people think that's bad, but I've kind of replicated that, just saving for myself. Now this year I saved for myself as well, but I decided in July that I wasn't going to put any of that money into our personal checking account. Just leave it in the business and see if we can truly live off just my husband's income. Another factor making that more challenging is that my husband, who teaches middle school, oftentimes, and last year, got a bigger paycheck because he had overload. So that's when there's too many students, basically, for him to really realistically manage, but they give them to him anyway and just, pay him more. So his paycheck would be lower and I would have no paycheck, so to speak. Now, our bills, of course, are basically all the same because the program that I run is connected to my house. It's really hard to differentiate how different utility bills would look because I'm closed during the summer, but then water is more expensive during the summer because we're watering, the garden and things like that. And then electricity, I have less students, but we're running in the air conditioning all the time, which I don't run much when the students are here because, the weather's better. So it's really hard, that aspect, to tell what'll be different in retirement or not the whole year. Food, I thought, would be a great way to save money because I do feed my students. And I thought I would save a lot more on food than I did. So we'll take a look at that. And then also I thought I could save some money by reducing my own personal spending, guilt-free spending. I reduced that by $50 this month. And then I was just kind of hoping our flexible spending account, which is basically miscellaneous, we could spend quite a bit lower. Didn't do so great with that. I mean, basically those are the ones that we have a lot of control of that aren't like fixed expenses. So my goal was not to draw on any of my money that I'd save for myself like I do every summer. So let's go look at a few items and see exactly how I did. All right, I did very well in my personal guilt-free spending. I had $29.57, and that's with a lower budget than usual to begin with. So that piece went really well. My grocery budget, I budgeted $1,700. That feeds myself, my husband, my child with a disability that lives with us, who's an adult, and then a daughter and a husband and a grandchild who eat here pretty frequently. They're around a lot because we help them with their business that they own, and they just live close by. So they're don't eat all the meals with us, but quite a few meals with us. And then pizza night, my other son joins us on pizza night, so we feed him once a week. So anyway, I had reduced my budget by $400, $500. I budget different every month during the school year. So even with a lower budget, we managed not to spend $71. Our flexible spending, which is miscellaneous, we did not do very well with. We overspent that $173, and I think a lot of that is just buying stuff for the home because my husband and I are off of work, so we're just more aware of what's going on in the house, and we start to like replace things and fix items, and so that we went over, so that was not good in helping me meet my goal. And eating out, we went over budget $178, and that's because we did one like small vacation that we did not plan on doing. We went to a city nearby and watched a couple games, sporting events, which we could pay for the tickets out of our Get Busy Living, Get Busy Dying savings fund. But because it wasn't planned, we really didn't have enough money in that for the food. So that came out of our eating out budget while we were away, and we overspent on that. So that would be an amount, obviously, that I'd have to take out of that savings fund to pay myself that month. So $358 and change. But there were categories that I underspent on, so let's do the math and subtract those. I will deduct from that amount the $29.57 for my guilt-free spending I didn't spend. I had over budgeted for life insurance, so that was $6.93. And then again, our groceries, we underspent $71.44. Offsets that eating out a little bit. And then our medical expenses, we had budgeted $50 and we had like $3 worth of medical expenses. All right, so on balance, that's $196 for our expenses that I went over and I would have to pay myself from my retirement fund. However, there were some areas that we still put into savings, so that's not something I would have to do if I was retired. We invested $100 in stocks through our public account, so that's not something that is necessary. But the other savings amounts we did are non-negotiables. That's for our son with a disability, his savings account that we have through the state that is only to be used for actual like living expenses. So that will save even after I'm retired. As long as we're alive, we'll save something for that at least. And then for my granddaughter's Coverdale savings account for her future tuition, that's $166 a month, and we will do that for as long as possible. So I'm not going to deduct those, but I am going to deduct that extra stock of $100. All right, so on balance then, after deducting the unnecessary, so to speak, savings, that would leave me with $96.49 that I would have had to pull out of my savings account from the business to pay myself. So that's what I did, is pay myself $96, which is really great. If you've been following along, you know that I try to not spend my entire paycheck. Now, usually I pay myself the amount I'm going to pay myself, but then I try to either save all of that money into one of our savings accounts or to retirement accounts, or to put more. Before it was towards our car loan, but we paid that off. But now to pay more towards our HELOC account, which we took out to build the school off the side of our house. So I'm really pleased that I only had to pay myself $96, because that is the goal, just for me to be able to retire from the job I do now and know that we'll be okay. And I'm sure, because I'll still be, in my mid-50s or so, I'm sure I'll get some kind of part-time work or, keep teaching adults, which is one of my side hustles that I did not do during July this year. But I'll have some kind of income. But I'm just trying to practice. My ultimate goal is to go a whole year without relying on my income at all. And really, I could have done that easily just by not doing that extra trip this month, and then I would have gone over on all that eating out and just done the plan activities that we had. So I'm just curious, have you ever tried just to live on one income for any amount of time? If you're retired, did you practice doing that at all before you retired? If you're planning to retire soon, have you considered taking a mini retirement? Again, this is just the financial piece, and then I'll talk about what I did all day long piece of it in part 2. Okay. All right, thanks for watching. Take care. Hope to see you in the comments.